I'll just run it. Because our YouTube channel embeds on our website now, and a lot of our members are joining via website without going into the whole Discord channel. So kind of making sure we provide for our members here.
Oh yeah.
There we go. There you are.
Sorry, man.
That's
I
all
just
right.
had to. I had my son yelling.
Not to worry. Bam! We bounced right off that sucker, ran straight to the other fan line. We've got the extension up here still in play. This becomes our regression line. And always subdivide. That's the halfway point. I love how fast it did that while I was trying to spit the words out.
What's running now? Consumer discretionary tech and communications. So basically, Google. Google is leading the pack. Netflix is leading the pack. And
Oh, nice break, Netflix. There was the top of our gap line at 340. Full bull measured move takes us from our open pre-market. We had $10 break, so right to about 348, 350. Damn, that'd be parabolic for that. It's possible though. We could trend it. All right, got off our subdivision, coming back to test our previous regression line. Let's see if we hit it.
the market's really divergent. I mean, like the sectors are really like not playing well together right now.
There, flux.
No,
She's not
we
so
are
surprising.
wildly uncorrelated.
Yeah.
NASDAQ up and the RTY and YM want to push down. It's really,
Yep.
it's a struggle.
There's no clear direction right now, huh?
QQQ could break this range. Give it a minute. Got liquidity printing right here off this doji. And let me throw IWM up on the grid.
I'm going to check the correlation right now just really quickly to see what it's actually doing. How correlated are they?
We could go either way. Right, back to our division. We're going to resume right to this trend here. I hate to subdivide that, but it's like right to the top of that wick if we just imagine the line right through here.
Yeah.
And we're off this critical pivot area, so we're not closing that gap anytime soon. I think we got an accumulation and a shot at a measured move to the top of the liquidity range, about 410.80, 411.
Oh yeah, wow. We're really uncorrelated right now. It's it really is. Everything is going. I mean, you can see it just, but to get it in numbers, we're at. Or to think about it in terms of how uncorrelated we are and how unusual it is.
Right.
We're 4 standard deviations out in general correlation to how it usually is. Or 3.5 actually. 3.5 more.
Throw a pivot in here right there. 409.10. Test previous regression. Wonder if that's looking like a Busby yet. Whoops, wrong chart. Nope.
On a.
Just
Oh, you mean like I
minute.
retested that support there and then.
Right.
For a possible trend up. Does that look likely to you now?
It's possible we're back to regression here.
Yep.
We'll probably test this pivot at 408.80. There we go. Bullish engulfing. Break to hunt to break to 8 period. Push to 20. We're up.
Oh yeah, that was a big print.
5 second 200 right here. Splits the difference. And yes, we're good. Right up to that line. 409.40. Big old bullish engulfing. Now we've got the makings of the Wu-Tang bottom right here. Give us the range. All we gotta do is break about 409.70 to come up to completing that move. Top of liquidity. Give us
That was PPI this morning, right? That came out.
let me look.
Yes.
Yep.
I should have answered that. Yes. I knew that.
And what did PPI say? Sorry, you guys. I'm really really
Basically
behind
the
the ball.
same as yesterday. It's slightly weaker, but I think something like 11% of the number was based on lower gas prices in March, and we just had that big spike, with OPEC wanting to restrict.
Production.
Yeah, so I mean, take it with a grain of. So the market really doesn't know what to do with this information. It's kind of better, but that's looking in the rearview mirror. So
Don't they really usually release two numbers with like one with
yeah,
one with energy and one without?
yeah. Well, but you got to consider. I mean, if prices are going to keep going up, if they're going to play that game, then inflation isn't going to be easy to get under control.
Right.
Yeah.
Which means more hikes. Which means the market says, "Shit, don't like that."
And that's what they came out. The minute said yesterday, right? So the more people, what was it, like 50% of the people wanted more hikes, but they were unsure because of the banking situation, right?
Right. Well, and honestly, those numbers, it's just the sentiment of the market. It doesn't have anything to do with whether or not the Fed's gonna raise rates. It's just whether or not they think it's going to. It's just like,
Right.
I don't even know why we care.
Yeah.
We've got range expansion happening here on a 5 second chart. We'll get a break out of this pretty quick. Oh, can it be? Might be a
I have a
diamond.
feeling we're
Diamond
gonna
pattern?
retest that
Yep.
4,200 before we plunge. It just doesn't want to go down. And if we were gonna break to the downside, you'd think we would. There's just too many buyers.
Yeah. Which doesn't make a lot of sense, right?
No, and I want to short it, but everybody else does too. So we're squeezed, it's just that's the market that we're in right now until it changes. Something really has. Well, I think earnings are going to help.
Yeah.
So we'll see tomorrow and the next few days what happens with the bank earnings. That'll be big.
And next
Yeah.
week starts the major earnings week for the first quarter for a lot of things. And then the last week in April is the big one, where you got like Tesla and everybody on the 19th and a few others. I'm going to set this up as a diamond. We'll see if it plays out. I'm going to add the regression lines.
Have financials already? They've already come out with earnings, right? Most part.
They start tomorrow.
Oh, they start tomorrow. That's what it is. Okay.
This is where that diamond loves to give a quick fake and then rip down. Be cautious here. I wouldn't jump this yet. We can take a quick break though either side, and watch the central line is going to be that 200 period. Comes right to a point in there. The 1 minute chart's ominously bullish though. It wants to go and complete that liquidity range. We'll see what the sentiment holds after this breach. We're right on top of the regression line for the upper channel on the diamond. It's a little bit of a dirty draw, but let me see if I can clean it up a little bit. There we go. indecision. We're outside the diamond, but let's see what happens on this break. It'll either break out or break down very quickly. This is a choppy ass double bottom here. Did breach, it did hit target 1 and then pulled back immediately. We're in the mean. We can either continue out of this or we can break over right here. It'll be exciting to see what happens to Silvergate, though. I mean, that wedge is just massive. It's so big.
Yeah.
Oh. I
You're
mean,
already in that, right? You set up the.
yeah,
How are you doing? Your debit spread?
I'm running this actually. Debit spreads were just unfathomably overpriced, so I went ahead and I grabbed a bunch of shares in here, right at about $1.50 a share, and I haven't sold the covered call on it yet. I want to see if it's going to start approaching this resistance point yet. It's just out the edge of that wedge's angular resistance. Like yesterday, it closed right at it. So today and tomorrow, I think will be kind of critical to see if this continues through. And we've got 2 short-term liquidity zones. It did attempt a nice break the other day, and this is all tightening into a big wedge. So either it'll give us a wedge with a break, or it will fail and run down.
Yeah.
Either way, it'll be exciting. And either way, my risk is pretty damn low at this point. I'll just wait and see. Although those premiums on those covered calls are insanely juicy. I think I can do better. Not a whole lot of options liquidity on this thing, but the ask price is like astronomical, and where there is volume is kind of hit or miss. Most of it is accumulating around the 19th expiration. That's May 19th. So I'm kind of skeptical on whether it's going to approach those levels, but boy, it can do some big moves very shortly.
Well, everything looks like it's really a messy market right now, huh? This is
Yeah.
like.
Yeah, it's in that area of slop, but it's slowly trying to trend out of this bottom here. So far, we're maintaining just under that regression line on the upside channel, except now it just broke right to the angular. Bam. A lot of times you'll get this to happen. It'll break out of the diamond and it'll rip a face off the other direction. Typically, they have a dramatic bounce when they do, though. Let's see here. May 19th, covered calls on that thing.
And there's no reason to expect this to turn into a trend today specifically, right? I mean, there's nothing.
I mean, it can trend to the top of the liquidity zone. I don't know that it'll get out of that. It can also trend to the bottom of the liquidity zone. We're literally in the middle.
Yeah.
We're not necessarily wanting to trade a swing in the middle unless we can get into a nice, juicy, neutral position to trade a break. But the implied volatility is starting to stack up for next week's, beginning of some of the earnings coming out. And we're in kind of an interesting zone where it's choppy and it's a little bit M-toppy. So, if we break this critical zone down here, we could see this run all the way down to like the old, 396 pivot. I'd hate to see it hit that 388, but damn, it's on the table for this M-top if it breaks over. Daily chart. What did we close yesterday? Just a big red bar.
Yesterday's close. I had it up.
Yeah, it's a big red bar from yesterday, and it's like right in that M-top look. So It can be bearish on the break, it can be bullish on the break, and either we get a third leg measured move to push to like 426, or we break over. The likely scenario is becoming more and more bearish, so the likely scenario is to come down, test the support zone at about 404.80 to 405, and if it breaches that key pivot at 404.80 here, down she goes. It'll follow all of this at least down to 395, maybe down to 393, 392. It's got all the makings of a big move coming, but it can go either way still.
Well, looking at NASDAQ on the 15-minute chart, it just looks like a super strong bullish trend. But that's kind of crazy. This was the day yesterday.
There's a lot of institutions that are net short, from what I understand.
Yep. So they might have to cover if it starts ripping to the upside.
Right.
Could be.
I almost wonder. Give me a second to see if I can do some reading fast enough. PPI kind of muted things, so we're kind of iffy. We're in the output side of this wedge right here. And we'll either get that bullish measured move to the top of liquidity, or we'll break over and retrace the base of it. That's ugly. We got some lines we can trade, the 5-second chart pretty easily today, but as for trends, it's got to break this range first. All ranges do break, but sometimes they can go all day long. There we go. Went and tested angular resistance. Broke the center line. Let's see where we go.
How do you think about you're looking at you can do a bar count and stuff like this, but if you're looking at it, we're approaching 10 o'clock now. We usually have the auctions at 11:30 or something like this. But how do you think about the just the time of the day? Like if you don't have a breakout, I know Sig says a lot. If he doesn't have a breakout by, is it 10 o'clock or is it 10:30? I can't remember. But he says historically, looking at previous how things have happened before, if you don't have the breakout by 10 or 10:30, you're not likely to have the breakout. Most likely just range all day and stay in the chop.
It's very typical. So if you don't have a range break, an opening range breakout is what is called ORB. Yeah, you can range for most of the day. However, typically, if you do get a midday break, it'll be almost a textbook measured move. So like that bar 41 thing that what's his name looks for is kind of crucial. Yeah. So like you take that bar 41, which is the 41st bar on a 5-minute chart, which is about right smack in the middle of the day. It's kind of crucial. It'll tell you a lot about what to expect on whether that range is going to finally break or not if you've started with a range day on ORB. So if you get a slight trend that gets rejected at one point and you have a leg that you can spot for that, and here we have it in the pre-market. If you map that out to time of day, you've got 2 points where the range should break. So if this is going to be a bullish measured move and follow through to the top of that range up here, or thereabout, you're going to look for a breakout by about between 10 and 10:30. And if it hasn't happened, you can sit here and range sideways all the way out to bar 41. And then, you could see your measured move finish that then, and it will be either a bullish run to like 410.80 or a bearish run down to the bottom of liquidity at about 407.50-ish.
Yep.
There's one big divergence this morning that QQQ is up, but SMH is down a lot.
Right. Now it's kind of
SMH, it's semiconductors, right?
yeah.
Yeah. That's weird.
So you got
But some
QQQ kind of running. It's made that bullish measured move. It ran right to the pivot, that 315.75 area. Even wicked up to 315.75. 316.13 was the peak of that wick. Now we're ranging. Measured move's done on QQQ, so we could reject here and pull back to 313, or we could continue on for third leg up to 317. We've got plenty of range to do it in, but let's look a little further left.
gold miners and junior gold miners outperforming the market. I guess that tells you what people are thinking right now, really, you know?
Yeah, they're running for gold. Kind
Yeah.
of hedge their potential volatility that we're expecting, and Q1 earnings coming out. So people are running for cover.
Well,
I mean, you can trade the volatility on that. It's not beyond reason. But I think at some point we're going to see the financials start to move. First and foremost, and like I said, that's the whole earnings thing coming out next week. Everything is kind of set up for either a measured move or a retracement or a pullback. So like you go and look at what was the other one I charted this morning? Wells Fargo. Hold on a second. This semiconductor ETF just printed a nice little double bottom. Let's look further back. And we could go to Angular and spot that at about 250, 79, 250, 80. Short term, that would be about target one after a break, or target extension after a break to 251 possibly. All right. One thing I was looking at this morning was Wells Fargo. Go back to the daily chart. So we've got the potential for a breakout to run to 50%, which is right up here. Pretty much the same setup I found on ConocoPhillips about a month ago. Just a slow trend, descending channel break, came across the pivot out of a double bottom, reached target one, broke it, came back, tested it yesterday almost with the doji, and then today we're looking like continuation, so we could see this run to the top of the wick at about $40.10. That's just a liquidity zone off of this wick right here. Let me draw that real quick. So we're in the zone on Wells Fargo, and that's one of the key financials because a lot of loans emanate from Wells Fargo, whether it's as a clearinghouse for smaller banks or their own personal financing for the masses type of thing. So let's drill down into this a little tighter. We've got the makings of a leg measured move accumulation here right in the liquidity zone today. And if it breaks out for a swing into next week, we got a shot at running up to like 41.15. Might even get the extension a little higher. So it's got that breakout look to it. There's your double bottom L1, H1, L2. Sets it up pretty nice. Go down to the 30-minute chart. We've already made the third leg measured move here, so this is kind of critical. If it rejects this liquidity zone, we can likely pull back to 2 points. We've got either a pullback to what is this, 38.60, or even down here to 37.88. Either one of those is fine and expected. So if it can't break this range in liquidity and achieve a full bull measured move up here to 41.50, we could expect a pullback. So it could go either way. Long term, it's looking like it's going to likely hit that that range. Go back into the weekly chart on this. So another thing to be aware of is that on the weekly chart, this already looked like a big ass bear flag. Okay, there's your leg one, big bear flag, break, tested below the critical support. So it threatened to make a bearish measured move all the way down to like 25.50. There's some artificial things happening here. This is not natural to go and retrace this whole bear flag and run up from it. So likely to come up and test that 50% and then continue resuming down into a bearish trend. So long term, we could see that recession setup follow through on Wells Fargo. But short term, we've got a couple of bullish trades we can take here. If this, then that. You can take a break and run it. I can also do a short term pullback. So I always reflect on what I see with the weekly chart, because every pattern you see on a 5-second chart shows up on every time frame, and the weekly chart tells me this is likely to resume that trend and break down long term. So we'll see what the future holds on that, but it's definitely a good canary to be watching.
And what does it tell you? So if and you're saying it's a canary because they deal so much with the loans and stuff like this. So basically, if it breaks down, we can look at that as like general weakness or like a confirmation that this whole debt situation is blowing up, basically.
Right. And that's the thing. I mean, it can trigger that meltdown. And although the Fed said they were tightening, they began tightening, last year. I can almost smell quantitative easing happening here, even though it's not on the radar. So
Yeah.
you
Well,
know,
the student loan forgiveness was kind of quantitative easing, like
Yep.
a little. You know?
that's for sure. And it's kind of interesting because whose pocket does it end up in eventually? The banks. So
Yep.
you got to kind of always have that mentality of knowing where the money goes eventually. And this is kind of the situation where these guys get over leveraged, they get greedy, and well, they're used to being paid either way, so they don't have to give a damn about what happens to the whole company, and as long as it keeps paying their bills.
Nasdaq's almost up at a critical point now. It's
Yeah. We rolled right to angular resistance on the upper channel. It is now angular resistance, but we did reject it here, so we're likely to come back and test one more time. Might get a 1-for-1 out of this after all, though. Let's look at your short-term support off of this bar here, about 409.32. Then there's Bank of America's kind of in a similar situation. Big old bear flag, plain as day on the daily chart. It's already broken that bear flag. This is half leg already done from this whole bearish move here, right? And the full move can complete down here in support, about $23.50 a share. So a lot of
how would that be completed? Wouldn't you measure the measured move for that from the top of that? What is that? 48.50, 48.65 down to
down to
yeah,
about the median there.
That, oh, the median you take there. Okay.
Yeah, I look for a key pivot. So like if I'm looking at the weekly candles here, I'll adjust it fine, but you've got most of the bodies in that pivot zone lining up right about here. So you got the base of this body here, base of this body here, comes through the middle of this one. This is in this doji area, base of this one. So you kind of eyeball it, figure out about where the median is on a weekly chart. It's still a big bear flag. You can spot that pretty easy. And just whip it down. Whoops. Gotta grab the damn thing first. Whip it down.
And you basically put it on the same line. Yeah.
Full measured move. I mean, hell, that's a hell of a drop, dude.
Yeah.
So we'll see next week what it brings us, and we could very easily just gap that whole damn range. I mean, it's done that before. You know, this was the lockdown here. Boop, just a straight up cliff, right? So can get interesting. I'm gonna take this off because it takes up a lot of memory. All right.
Look at SPY ripping, dude.
Yep. Right back to range on the diamond. I always say this, and this is kind of something that's important to memorize. When you see a diamond and you see the divergence on the output side, price does not like to hang out in here long. It rips around very volatilely in that range. It'll go from one to the other just like nothing. If it rejects here, it's likely to come back, find center, and then break whichever way. Until it breaches back inside of either channel on the bullish side or the bearish side, it's going to likely range in here for most of the day.
Nice drawing there, by the way. That was quickly. That was pretty amazing how well it picked off the bottom of that. And what did you were planning that back as soon as it was into that median area? You said it was probably going to test that bottom of that channel line there,
Right.
which was that's pretty good, man.
And it's all just from one little pattern. Once I noticed we had the range expansion, I started drawing that diamond, and I roughed in the output side, and it lined up beautifully. I mean, I missed it by a few pennies here, but it's pretty damn close. Look at that, dude. Wicked right to that sucker.
Yeah,
So cool.
that's what I was like, that's nicely done.
Diamonds are great for defining range, man, and they play out methodically. I mean, almost exactly every time. I haven't had one fail miserably yet. I've had one fail maybe once or twice, but they were approximate and they got damn close. And you know, the example is here, like down in the bottom here, it didn't quite reach this angular support zone in this channel, but it did hit the key pivot and bounce. And hell, if we just adjust that pivot down to the bottom there of this guy here, it's right in it.
So Nasdaq just hit what it rejected off of yesterday, basically, at 110. So I would say this is everything is kind of like at a turning point right now.
There was another bank I wanted to look at. Hang on a second.
I have a list of banks. There were some mentioned on MSNBC, and I'm trying to find them. Or everybody's moving into conservative stuff. Berkshire Hathaway's is up, even if the market's down.
Yeah,
It's kind of funny.
you know what? Let me look at BRKB. I haven't looked at that in a while. That one defies everything, because here's your weekly.
Yeah.
50% retracement, nailed. Double bottom, beautiful. Bullish measured move, done. We're accumulating just under that 50% retracement line. Berkshire Hathaway could continue and rally up to like 360. And, you know, look at this giant trend here. It accumulated, made a half leg break. Came back down, tested it. Imagine this resuming to, you know, push the 430 area. Yikes. They make money, dude. They're damn good at it. They've been doing it for a long, 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 long time. So, yeah, if we breach this resistance here.
Berkshire just increased their share in the Japanese market 5%. And what is it? Like in the SEC for Japan, they bought like basically they're playing like trading places. They're owning the casino.
Nice. And Japan's I mean, they are a sleeping giant when it comes to kind of filling in where people are parting ways with China. Japan will be right there to take up any slack there.
Good morning, guys.
Morning.
Morning.
Oh, we're actually green on the day and everything now.
Yeah.
I thought we were down in
Oh, we're running.
in the S&P and Russell, but we're actually green now.
About to be in the channel here on the upper. And this move is setting up beautifully for finishing that measured move up. Glorious.
Just scalped that. That was nice.
Nice work. We're in a channel right now. For some reason, the regression line is not what I wanted it to be. Where the heck is the waypoint? There it is. Let me just adjust that a little smoother. There we go.
Yeah, everything's ripping up to the upside, huh?
Heck yeah. Bam. We're going to gap to regression right now.
Yeah.
I love liquidity zones, guys. I mean, they're incredible. 410.40 is my first target. It's just under the edge, but it's about what we would see for a measured move here. And I'd like to see it accumulate just under this regression and then finish the move to like that 410.80. I might have a little background noise here shortly. My niece is very lively in the background here.
Can you guys hear my kids yelling around, running around yelling? I don't know if they come across.
I can't hear either of your kids.
Yeah.
Okay.
The noise canceling on the Discord channel that's built in
It's pretty good.
is very good. However, I'm watching my microphone output for the YouTube side, and it's picking up all of it. So I apologize to our YouTube viewers for all the background noise, but you know what? We're all people. We have families.
Oh, wow. Yeah, all right.
Right
So
to
you guys-
regression. We're out. We're going to accumulate here a couple bars, and we'll probably fill that. Nice moves. Love this, man. Liquidity zones, guys. Measured moves. You realistically only need to know 3 things.
You got to tell us 3 things, man.
Measured moves, all ranges break, and find your liquidity zones. Know where your resistance and support points are. That's it. You know 3 things, you can trade this market in any kind of volatility.
The 3 laws of Jeremy. I like
There
it.
is.
I'm going to get a tattoo, man.
We split the difference right here to 410.60 right off that wick. It's about the middle of the subdivision here. If you want to subdivide these channels, you can. I just don't do it on my charts typically because it gets way too messy. But I know they're there. You know, like here we had that push right up to it and then a break. Same. Now we're playing with regression. Came down just under the 20. Let's see if we get a bar through that regression line real quick. And a complete move. I mean, you know, 411.15 is the extension. One second. Bam. Doji printed. Can have an evening star or a 1-for-1 real quick like. So here's your bar spinner. The bar would take us to about 410.80 where we kind of knew what it would be. That's about where our angular resistance is here on our channel. If it breaks down to an evening star, it'll go right down to about 410.28. So watch your 5-second for that move. You can scalp that. It's a quick little 2-pointer. Maybe you get 3 points out of that.
Hey Casper, I got a question for you. I just uninstalled and reinstalled Discord. I can't, for the past 2 days, I can't seem to get video, and then it has this little exclamation mark with a yellow circle saying the stream you've viewing currently has reduced video or audio quality. This may be due to the network conditions.
Huh. Boom, target met. I wonder if that has to do with your quality settings. So you might have to set it to automatic.
Quality settings.
If you go into your user settings, you'll see video and voice. Let me see. Dun, dun, dun. Voice and video. Down towards the bottom, video settings.
I just realized it's a pain in the butt trading on your phone, man. It's better off doing it in Access Trader, man.
It's rough, that's for sure. I've done it for years. I got really good at it, but yeah, it's not easy. Especially if you're scalping futures with your phone, that can be challenging. However, if you have access to a really good chart, all you need is the DOM. So you can just hit buy, sell, done, you know. You don't have to mess with it much.
Internet quality and internet speed makes it a huge difference as well.
That's for sure. All right, bullish measured move more or less met. We're at the top of liquidity on Q. This is an overlap zone. If you guys remember when I printed this thing. There's your liquidity area off of this big old wick here. Well, now we've got another zone up here above, so let me draw that in. We're right in that area. Yeah, I have sometimes a couple places I had worked, I had a lousy signal for, back then it was on the 4G network before 5G was even out. I would sometimes have to connect to the Wi-Fi of whatever shop I was working in, and it'd be really slow, but it would be reliable. Whereas 4G would be fast as hell, but it would be unreliable because I was in a big metal box. So I kind of had to go into my settings on my phone and just have it to where it could prioritize whatever was the best, most reliable connection and go with it. Sometimes I would go and hit an order and it wouldn't always work correctly, and it would be hanging in limbo because I didn't have a connection at the moment that I hit the order, and it would just sit there and give me the old spinning box waiting for the order to confirm, and it would go nowhere. Well, unbeknown to me, when I hit that order, it sent it out, but it didn't confirm back to my phone because I wasn't receiving data. So I'd go and literally put it in airplane mode and take it back out of airplane mode to get that follow through to realize whether or not the order filled. It was very challenging trading with my phone at times. But I knew if I could find ranges, I could trade pretty easily just using limit orders that I would literally set up in the pre-market before I'd start my workday, and then just kind of let them hang out. And didn't have trailing stops, so I had to be very, very picky on what setups I was trading. But I would just run a limit order, and I'd have an alert that would sound off when it filled. And if it filled, I would be able to, flip my phone out of my pocket, take a quick look at the screen, and decide what to do next. When to take profit would be simply as looking left, finding the next resistance point, printing a quick pivot line on my chart, and then going a few pennies under that, setting up a limit order. So I would literally autopilot my trades by setting up limit orders. It is challenging as hell, and my win ratio was probably in the 60 percentile at that time because you don't have time to watch your charts during a workday. You just don't have the ability to adapt with the market conditions as they change. So you have to be very careful to pay attention to potential news events, FOMC, and what have you. You had to be very much in tune with what was going on. And the worst part of that is it took a lot of my time. So like when I was, in the transition period, I called it, between work and not work, any spare moment I had was doing analysis on the market. So, if I was in between taking a kid to a doctor's appointment or attending some sort of family event, if I had downtime at the moment where no one was paying attention to me, I could slip away, take 5 minutes, do a little analysis, hang it up, get back to family life, find another break, take 5 minutes, do a little analysis. It was just constant. I was always having to check things. And
Exactly. Personally, I think passively speaking, the more conservative route would be trading like the verticals or the iron condor in terms of spending and forgetting. You know what I mean?
right. And that's also simultaneously, it's the most relaxed way you could trade. You wouldn't have to, have as much attention to the market. And it's also the most prudent way to trade because you can limit risk with those condors and with spreads. So like you can very much find what works for you in that.
When you set up these liquidity zones on QQQ, you use the wicks of a higher time frame.
Yep.
And what time frames are you using to trade and to set up the liquidity zones?
So for the big ones, I'll typically set them up off the daily chart candles. I'll just look left to find where the failed breakout was. So where there's a lot of limit orders, it becomes a liquidity zone. And you can see this doji here had exactly half of that. So there's a pivot right down the middle of that zone. And then I can find the shorter time frames on the 2-hour chart. I can pick off where I can see resistance being. And in this case, I lined it up with, where the heck was it? This doji right here. And I could technically just expand that up to the top of this range here. So it's just a matter of finding where all the limit orders are tending to be. So like you're not the only one trading on autopilot. There's people with limit orders sitting there on the market all the time. And if you know where they are, great, you can make some trades out of it. And finding them is literally as simple as finding where the wicks are. You know where all those limit orders were triggered. It was a failed breakout. And once you identify those, you can just literally trade from one to the other, or you can trade from one side of one to the other, or one side of one to the midpoint, depending on conditions.
Thanks.
No problem.
You ever use liquidity zones from the weekly charts also? I know you were just saying that you like the weekly charts. Check them out. I was just thinking that.
Occasionally I do. I mean, you can still find them there. Here's ours that we're playing with right now. It's within this doji here, within that wick. And then probably the upper half of this doji. You can. Depends on what term you're trading. I mean, if you're trading, swing trading, with like quarterly options expiration, you're going to be looking for the weekly chart zones. You can find them. But for me, I like to use the daily and the 2-hour because I'm trading shorter time frames. I mean, like I'm rarely holding a swing beyond 3 weeks for spreads. So it's like, in terms of weekly chart, that's a very short period. It's 3 candles. So if you're looking at the daily chart, you'll find your zones and just trade from one to the other. And then your day trading becomes improved dramatically as well because you know where all of your breakpoints are. You know where your targets are very handily.
I can't remember why it was. I know that you like the 4-hour, I think, also for a while. I know I was reading.
I did use the 4-hour heavily for trading penny stocks. Let me make an example here. Like SI, you could go, for instance. So if you ran that on a 4-hour chart instead of a 2-hour chart, you can get really zoomed in on most penny stocks. You can find your control areas and thus liquidity zones on a 4-hour chart pretty efficiently. And like I would normally on a penny stock, instead of running liquidity zones, I'd just print pivots. I'd be like, okay, top of this candle, bottom of this candle, 2 pivots, cool. Top of this candle, bottom of this candle. I just look for the big candles or the biggest candles on the chart and plot all the ranges out. And the one thing I noticed right away is typically they would be Elliott waves of the big bars. So like you would have this up here. This is the top. You know, the 66% is where this breaks, right about here, of this candle.
Yep.
So once I found all those zones, I would know where all my trading targets were for day trading penny stocks. And then I could go and drill it down to 2 hours, 30 minute, 15 minute. I can find all the fine-tuned short-term trade targets as well. And then I would know if this bull flag failed, it's likely to come back to here. Or if this bull flag broke out, it's likely to run to here. It gave me a roadmap of what to expect on breakouts. And in penny stock land, man, that is crucial. And you can make...
I was, you know, I'm always one of these people that if I hear a rule and I want to go figure out why it's true, you know?
Right.
So I looked up the 4-hour thing, and it ended up being there was a lot of really good reasons to use the 4-hour, among other things that like most strategies that you backtest, if they're successful in the 4-hour, it's a really good indication that the strategy actually works. If your strategy is accurate and the 5-minute doesn't always tell you that much, because there's a lot of noise and you know you can make a lot of mistakes. But in the 4-hour chart, it's that's the one that the a lot of algorithmic traders use the 4-hour chart as the one that they backtest and then build the strategies off of.
Oh, yeah.
So I thought that was kind of a fun fact.
And then it comes down to a split. I mean, like the 2-hour chart that I watch is half of the 4-hour chart. So, I mean, you know, you can find all the fine points to trade in both time frames. And it just depends on what you're trading. If it's volatile as hell like a penny stock, that 4-hour chart's going to be your go-to to absolutely find all those pivot points. And then, like I said, you can narrow it down more and more and more by picking off the smaller and smaller time frames, like the 30-minute, the 15-minute, the 5-minute. You can find them all. And every level on every time frame becomes relevant when you're trading penny stocks. You'll almost always see those candles that exactly nail those pivot lines, whether they're long-term or short-term, to the penny. And they're just, it just makes trading penny stocks simple and easy. And man, we had the field day back in the penny room, dude. We would just nail those targets all day long, you know, and I would only be streaming in the morning and going to work in the afternoon. I would call out all the levels that it could go to, and then typically every evening I would hear back from Stone. He would be like, yeah, it nailed every stinking one of those levels. Like,
Question for you, Jeremy.
sure.
In trading those penny stocks and using that 4-hour chart, marking out your zones, are you using that 4-hour chart to also make your entries, or are you going to a lower time frame to do that? How does that work?
Well, I'm always
If I'm asking
maximizing.
the right question.
You've got it. I'm always marking the critical pivots and zones on the longer term time frames, and then I'm trading on a very short term, like the 1 and 5-minute chart is typical for my penny stock trading appetite. So I'm fine tuning my entries and exits with that 1 and 5-minute chart, and then I'm verifying all the zones with my my 2-hour, my 4-hour, my daily, and all that stuff.
If we're running at a reversal, this is a pretty great place for a reversal, right?
I think
I mean,
so.
on the Spire, yes.
And we just
I
broke
just
the
thought
channel.
there was, yep.
There it comes. Right at the top of the liquidity zone too, right about 410.80 where we said it would be. Boop. This can still accumulate here, so let me set up a pivot here. Just looking left, seeing about where all the support zone is. It's both support and resistance. About 410.35. It was resistance here, support here, support here, support here, support here. Makes sense. Walks like a duck, talks like a duck. Here we have set up for a quick bearish measure move. Done.
Yep.
Bam. Even got the extension. And
I missed that one.
it was faster than I could finish saying it. I saw it happening. I saw it breaking, and then by the time I said it, it was done. That was so fast.
I tried to throw a comment in there because I saw it was about. It was like, oh, it's gonna break. It's gonna break right now.
Boop.
It was.
I got that piece, that head candle.
Nice work. All right, Silvergate's starting to threaten a trend. We're above liquidity zone 1. We'll at least reach liquidity zone 2 at about $1. What is that? $1.60. 3.64 maybe. Let's start looking at that on the 1-minute chart. Man, if that thing goes wild, it could go insanely short squeezed. All it needs is volume right outside this angle. Risky as hell, but then again, it's trading at $1.50. I mean, you know, 20, 30 shares at that, it's nothing. You know, if it breaks back, God forbid it hits $100 bill, you'll be dancing, dude. I doubt it'll get there that soon, but you know what? That chart says it can. It can hit any one of these control zones, and when you want to set it up, if you wanted to go on the daily chart or the 4-hour chart to set up all the pivot zones on this thing, they're all going to be relevant. But the one thing that I noticed on the daily chart that speaks to me the most is this gap right here. And then you've got control zones in here. So if it breaks this liquidity zone, it's got a pretty good shot at going from this gap to here. $5, dude. You know, we got 350 on the table, $5. We could go to this zone. That's big money, dude. When you got in at $1.50, not bad.
Well,
Hey,
that's
Jim.
awesome.
Who was just talking about the time frames at the moment? Do you know their handle name?
Where was it?
Was it DK
Was it-
Lord Love?
Was it Aaron?
No, that was me. Zinneman's my screen name.
There it is.
Zinneman?
Yep.
All right, I just screenshotted something that I've learned from Jeremy and different time frames to help you out with an example there.
Oh, thanks.
Thanks.
Damn, dude. Bearish
Yeah, I
measurement
did.
done.
I did mention time zones, but I was talking about the penny stocks.
I could go into occasionally I'll put up a penny stock in our room because we can trade whatever the hell we want here. We don't have to be specific to large caps, so you know we can certainly look at everything else. And right now, I'm actually kind of curious to see if Mullen's gonna.
Cass, are you still supporting the penny stock room?
Casper does all the call outs in there. I've kind of been staying out of there, but I should be more active there.
Zinneman, that's my layout. So I have a 4-chart layout. So on the top left, there's the 5-minute SPY, and then I have the 15-minute on the right. And on the bottom, the 1-minute, that's what I trade off of. And then I have the 10-second on the bottom right.
Very cool. That makes for easy life. Good stuff.
Thank you. Well, I learned it from you.
And if it helps you, man, that makes me try very hard not to injure my arm, pat myself on the back. That's all I want to do is help people.
Yeah, so I chart on the higher time frames. I also chart on the 1-minute, and then I see my exits on the 10 seconds.
Thank you. I'll take a look. I was just saving it.
Good stuff. Silvergate just nailed.
Marco, would you send that to me as well? Or Ricardo, I'm sorry.
Send it to you? Yeah, no problem.
Thanks, man. Much
Hey,
appreciated.
Ricardo, good question on that one.
Appreciate it.
Is that one screen that you have all 4 charts? And also, second question, are you trading from the chart or are you using, is there like a dome on the side?
1 sec. I have I don't know what it's called. It's an order screen. I don't know how to use the dome. So let me take another screenshot and expand the whole thing. And I am trading off the 1-minute MES.
We got
And you got all 4 of them in one screen?
Yes.
We got a split top here. This doesn't start it. It starts here and it rolls over here. V top. Critical support's going to be this 410.35. This is bearish until it says otherwise. And if it does breach, it can go really quickly to the midpoint and down into the bottom of that whole zone. Let me get this zoomed in. Silvergate's breaking out. It's going to touch the top of that liquidity zone at $1.68. Looks like right now. And then MULN, dirty double bottom. We just tested back to R1. This was a quick wedge break though, actually. So we're in a critical pivot here on Mullen. If this thing gets short squeezed, it will be very rapidly shooting up to about 15 cents. If the short squeeze fails, this looks like a little double top, so be careful. Silvergate's getting pumped. Look at that thing, right to $1.68, right at the top of the liquidity zone.
That was awesome.
And I've got a few hundred shares of that on hand. I'm just waiting, biding my time to sell covered calls on that. As soon as the liquidity comes in and the speculators start trying to chase that back to $100, that's where I'm going to sell them covered calls.
Check out the relative volume on that thing. The relative volume must be at, I mean, it must be at like 0.6 now or something. But it's pretty early in the day. That looks like some volume coming into it anyway.
It's got some spikes here on a 1 minute chart even. 5 minute volume's up. We had this gap up yesterday towards the close. Kind of about the same volume in this move. Yeah, someone bought the dip.
Oh, yeah.
I'm going to start looking at flows on that real quick too. Give me a second to get to it. Finally, geez, taking me too long to get the flows open. Huh. Actually, the institutions are net outflow. The upper level retail traders are the ones pumping this. They've about doubled institutional on the medium orders. That can flip though because we've got a large percentage of the free float short here. Like 76% is roughly what it's at. I don't have a real-time short zone, but it's about what I can assume. The free float on this thing, it's only 27 million shares. I mean, it's not much. So I mean, when you get volume, today's volume is 1.34 million so far. And where's the average volume? They moved this stuff around on me. Yeah, it doesn't give me average volume. Well, that sucks. I'm going to have to fix that. But at any point, keep an eye on this thing because if it gets short squeezed, dude, it will be very volatile and very quick price action. If it gets out of that liquidity range right there, it breaks that 168 zone. It's got quite a ride ahead of it. So stay tuned, folks. That could be exciting.
Oh, yeah.
All right, back to the bottom of the range. And let me grab a 2-hour chart for a moment.
Enoch, yeah. Yes, our SPY is giving up the ghost a little bit, right? What do you expect? What are we looking at? Like a 50% retracement, which lines up with perfectly with that earlier pivot at 8:30 from when PPI came out.
Right about 409.80 on the next chart or next target, and then we could reach all the way down here to 409.20, which is about the center point from our diamond pattern. And let's see, there's another pivot here at 409.80. Yeah, right in there. Oh man, I'm doing the get the coffee out dance real quick, so I'll be right back.
Those people who like what's his name, the Inner Circle Trader or Ice, whatever he is. We also just retraced back into what he calls a fair value gap, and almost hit the perfect top of it, which lined up pretty well with liquidity zone, the same way as Jeremy marks them out. Generally speaking, this would be a pretty good place to short it. SPY, that is, or ES if you're trading futures. But
You read my mind.
yeah,
Actually, I've taken a few stabs at it already and got about 8 ticks, but it's not following through just yet.
yep. I'm not loving the way it looks right now anyway, because it could just as well.
I think we might have
Both.
another push up.
Yeah, we could bull flag this, but it could. I would have liked it better if it hit below that forward, which Jeremy has, that pivot that Jeremy has marked out there as 410. But we're an approach of that, but it's a little bit. And a break of that with decisive break of that would be nice. But let's see what we get. There we go.
Whew, I'm back.
Hey, man.
For some reason, I'm still seeing, I don't know if it's a loop or if it's just a big delay on the YouTube feed, but I'm seeing stuff I did like 10 minutes ago appear on the preview screen. I don't know if it's live or close to live with a few seconds delay or not. Yeah, 3 monitors set up. Yep, you got to have at least 2 monitors to really have a good trade station if you can. If you're trading from your phone, it can still be done. Just got to be aware of at least a couple screens you can flip to see what your price action is looking like if you're trying to day trade stuff.
JK, if you're listening out there, the one monitor I have is connected to the Discord, and then I have my laptop that I have TradingView open on with a 4-chart layout of other markets that I follow. And then I have my trading one that's just strictly connected to my monitor. That's the one you see right now.
Gotcha. Thanks, Ricardo. Yeah,
Right.
I mean, I'm using like 3 screens, but I have like one chart for ES, one chart for crude, and then TOS in all 3 different, so it's per screen. But I would love to make it somehow look like in a couple of different time frames in one screen, but that gets really clogged for day
What
trading.
broker are you with? What broker do you use?
I'm trading in Ninja, but I do my analysis on the TOS.
Okay, so if you can do a 4 chart layout on just one monitor, because what I found is I don't want to confuse myself too, following too many markets and stuff. What I trade is what you see on my that one screen I just shared, and then the other markets I have on my laptop. But I take a glance at it, but it does confuse me when I started.
Very
Gotcha.
cool. Yeah, it's definitely for me. I like having this 4 grid position as my main setup, and then for the most part, since I've been trading options mostly this year, I've been able to do that with my phone. So like I can sit here and do all my analysis on my main screen, have really good price action analysis, and I can go in either day trade SPY options, I can set up condors or whatever based on the price action I'm seeing. And for me, it's kind of easy because I can run the mouse, still do all my demonstration stuff, still mark out all the price action, and in a sense, also be in a teaching capacity while I'm trading with my other hand. It's kind of a neat thing. But like, could I do it with just my phone? I have. It's not impossible, but man, it is definitely challenging when you don't have access to having multiple time frame charts for if you're day trading SPY, or even having access to these guys simultaneously, because I've also got positions on with both of these. So
Could you not have a 4 chart layout on your I mean, on your phone, or is your phone too small, the screen?
for me, it's too small of a screen. I mean, I have good vision, but like, I can't capture enough of the details on a 4 split on my phone. I could do it with a
So,
single screen, so I can flip between screens.
so I have the Samsung Note Ultra. I forgot what it's called. It's the latest one, the big one, the big screen.
The S23 Ultra.
But the Note version.
Okay.
So it's got like the S Pen and stuff.
Right.
It's got a big screen. So I have traded on there with my phone, and I can get a 4 chart grid layout pretty well. But it is very challenging getting in and out of scalping trades on there.
Right. Then you got to flip to a screen to trade separately.
Yeah, well, with TradingView, you can just put your cursor on wherever you want to trade and click sell or buy,
Oh, cool.
and then just manage the position as it's going live.
Nice. Well, we made the split top. We've broke the support line, but now we're bouncing back out. We're doing a quick retrace. This can set up for a 1-for-1. That part's already done. We can get an extension up here to 410.70 real quick out of this, but watch for a pullback and accumulation here first. And this is, you got that rounding look here. It's really just waveform. So we've got the rounding look here, but we have that accumulation. That's a measured move that's done here. We can get the extension, but we can also pull back to the critical support zone here. So be very quick action. As far as the 1 minute chart goes, pretty much done with that right here. So watch for a pullback. I get one last trade before I sign off. I'm going to try and break off at 11 today if I can, so I can finish preparations. My wife left for the gym a little while ago, and while she's at the gym, we're setting up a surprise party and all this other stuff too. So
Was today your birthday, man?
yeah,
Oh.
Today is officially your birthday?
yeah,
Happy birthday, man.
yeah.
No,
Well,
it's
my wife's birthday. Yeah, mine was
your
last week.
wife's. I'm like, how many birthdays do you have?
Well, family-wise, we have actually 4 different birthdays in April, but immediate family, it's 3 birthdays in April. So
Party time, April.
right, it's like Christmas in April, we call it.
Ricardo, your question is pretty valid. I mean, what you thought was pretty valid because my parents and their generation, they all had like two or three different birthdays.
Yeah. Well, it's like for me, I've got let's see, the 5th, the 13th, the 19th, and the 30th of April are all family birthdays. And then the first 3 of those are immediate family birthdays, so kind of cool.
So is today your wife's birthday?
Yeah. I'd say it's my wife's birthday, and then next week, my oldest son's birthday. So,
Happy
Oh
birthday.
yeah. Happy birthday. Yeah. Yeah. Christmas in April.
pretty much. It's one of my most active trading periods because I tend to get into a lot of wheel trades this time of year, and I also do a bunch of scalping on spreads and stuff, and it really helps pay for all those birthdays. Oh, not to worry. I don't need full coverage today. It's just a matter of I'm going to cut out a little bit early today if you don't mind, and then I will.
Yep.
As always, I'll still leave my stream going, and I'll make sure the screen locks so everything's centered. But I may not be around doing too much thinking today.
Is Casper still there?
Yeah, I'm still there.
Casper, I'm gonna send you like a screenshot about what's going on with my Discord. I don't know
Yep.
I don't know how to fix it. So if you can help me out later.
Yeah, sure, man.
Thanks, man. I gotta get going, guys. All the best in the market. Thank you, Jeremy, and enjoy your day.
You too.
See you
And
later.
Thanks for joining us.
Yeah.
And thanks for being so helpful. I mean, you're really paying it forward, man. You brought a lot of knowledge and wisdom to a lot of our members today. I really appreciate that.
Well, I'm
Yeah.
trying.
Thank you, Ricardo. Appreciate it, sir.
problem. I've had other members that have helped me out. So, like I said, like he says, I'm just paying it forward. I'm just following the, I guess you can say the helpful advice. Take care, guys.
You too, man. We'll see you around.
For sure.
Take care, Ricardo.
We've got potential to push a full measured move outside of the liquidity zone here to attempt that 412 area. That's interesting. Let me go and reiterate this. So we've made our 1-for-1 here from our pre-market. We got a chance at running a third leg up here. Let me show you something a little more interesting. Sorry. I had an itch on my nose. If you look back here, there's a little gap here. See about
Yeah. See it.
right about 412.65 to 416.90 right in here. And where's the baseline of that? There's another candle I'm missing here. Okay, it's 412.50 to almost 417. So if we get above 412.50, that could be a really quick gap zone for very bullish trend day tomorrow. Man, this M top is just eminent though. This might be a fake out, and we can see this trend.
Frame, is that you looking at the daily?
Yeah,
Oh yeah.
let's get the 4 hour on. This might be one of those moments where we use the 4 hour on SPY. Let's see if I can plot that zone. No, it's back here. Did I go too far? There it is. There's your gap accumulation zone. So 412 is the top of a control bar here. It may take a day or so to accumulate that move. And if it gets above, let's call that 413. This gap zone could fill very quickly. It's an old zone, but it's still going to be relevant. Let me make some interesting pivot lines here. So 412. I'll make them a funky color so I recognize them from way back. I'm just going to map this zone out. Old news, but man, we breach that zone and we start running that trend. That 1-for-1 on the daily does have us up there at 422 to 426. Been in play before. Maps this zone here. It's resistance here. And it's
Just
resistance
roll over
now.
and SPY on the ES.
We could see a decent trend day tomorrow, and it'll either be a bullish move 1-for-1 to 416, or a bearish move 1-for-1 down to 406. Interesting. I'm with it. That'd be fun. That gap shows up here too on the weekly. Oh, this still looks like a big triple top on the weekly as well, but
Yeah.
let's see what the week closes. If this stays a green candle here for the week and we don't go and immediately retrace back to 398 by the end of tomorrow, we could see a bullish 1-for-1 where we get bar, spinner, bar going into next week though. And
Community, I'm out. Thank you very much for your time, Jerry. Jeremy, you guys have a great time with the family.
Will do.
And appreciate all your input.
No problem, man. I'm glad to be here. This has been awesome to be able to help others. And it took me a while to make the transition to trade for a living, but here I am. And I want to make this possible for everyone I know. And that's all you guys.
It's awesome, man. See you later, Aaron.
Dude, this could really be interesting next week. That'll either make or break the market, and I think it's mostly bank earnings next week, isn't it?
Yeah. Financials are first up. It's going to be the whole week, right?
Yeah.
I thought it was this week, man. I'm so like, yeah.
The screams M-top, but it's holding the 8 period so nicely on the daily. Gosh, this is going to get exciting next week. We'll either rip down or rip up, dude. I mean, either way, we're right at the middle of the tipping point. Going into earnings week on the financials, this is going to be pretty epic next week.
Yeah, next week is going to be a great week to trade, huh?
Oh, I think so.
I mean, we should get a serious trend anyway.
Yeah, we will
that's
definitely
gonna
get
make
some big moves next week.
Yeah.
I don't think that's going to be a nothing burger. I think that's going to be a hell yeah burger. All right, so we've got potential for a bullish 1-for-1 for the day up to 412. We could possibly come back to the regression or 409 pivot or the 408 91 pivot, which has been relevant for God knows how long. I don't know why it's like a weird number like that, but dude, that thing's been just sticking. We could easily trace to 408. We might even tap the lower liquidity zone. It's hard to say at this point, but so far the bias is still a bit bullish to finish that 1-for-1 outside the box here. And if it does make that attempt, it'll almost certainly come back and test the top of the liquidity zone again before the day is over. So yeah, look out. We could see some serious volatility going into next week. And I think tomorrow we're going to have the probably close a doji tomorrow is my guess. And if it doesn't close a doji, it'll be a range day.
Yeah. What's it on a week now? What's the weekly candle right now forming? Just curiosity.
So the weekly is where I was looking. Like either we're going to get an evening star right back down to 398.50 or thereabout. Let me stretch that out so it's easier to see. 398 right here, base of this candle here. Or if we get a bullish trend day tomorrow and we get a 1-for-1 up to this 412 and maybe even close a whole gap, good Lord, that'd be psycho. But bar, spinner, bar, damn.
Yeah.
Who knows?
This is where it's funny with the differences between the futures and the and SPY.
Yeah.
Is that ES is just a perfect doji right now. Two dojis following up on top of each other.
Interesting.
completely different.
I bet if I look at SPX, we'd have a cleaner picture. Let's throw it down.
Yeah, I'm gonna do the same thing. Wait.
SPX weekly. Let's do a compare.
Oh, it's the SPY was a lot better for the SPX.
Yeah. Looks it's about the same.
Yeah.
We had our 3 white soldiers. We're just accumulating. Damn, we're going to have a hell of a week next week, guys.
Yeah.
That way that setup is, I mean, it could go for 100% retracement of this wick right here up to like, 41.95.
I'm voting for you getting your futures account set up by next week so we can all trade futures together.
God, I'm hoping so.
We got
So my withdrawal from the other account should be in the bank today, I think, and then I'll get that transfer initiated as quick as I can. I need to get that running.
stuff. It's gonna be fun.
I also got a couple things to pay for this week too, so like,
Oh, you got all the presents.
Yeah.
You're just gonna have to make some more options plays, man. That's
it.
all it is.
That's it.
All right, man. I have my kids going nuts. I hope
Yeah.
I hope they haven't been disturbing people too much. They've been like
Haven't heard
I
of
think,
Pete.
you haven't heard. That's awesome, dude.
Yeah.
I had one like who was hitting a xylophone with like 2 hammers or something. But have a great one, man. I'll see you tomorrow, all right?
You too, man. We'll see
And
you
have a
tomorrow.
great night tonight with your wife.
Yeah, we'll do. I'm gonna go out on
Cheers, man.
a dinner date and have some fun. All right, so I'm gonna get this a little closer. I'm gonna kind of keep a couple of those penny stocks on the grid here. I think they're gonna be. I don't think Mullen's gonna do much today, but I think there was another bank we were looking at. HSBC is kind of trending. That could give us a 1-for-1 here too, to like 35.80. Not huge dollar-wise, but hey, swing trade. All right, I'll find something else to put on this bottom right grid, but eyes on Silvergate for sure. That's getting volatile, and I think we'll get a quick short squeeze if this thing gets some momentum behind it. I'll keep SPY on a 1 minute. Zoom out, get the chart recentered. And later in the day, I'll switch it to a 5-minute chart if I get time to stop by my computer. But yeah, guys, be nimble today. I think we're going to likely play in this range. We could get that 1-for-1, so keep that in mind. I'll keep that box on the chart here. If it breaks that resistance point, we can certainly follow through with that. And that'll take a lot of equities with it. So, you know what? Let's keep Netflix down here. That's probably a good idea. It's one that nobody's watching. Let's watch it. Alrighty then. I'm going to call it a day. I will try and see you guys.
Enjoy. Don't feel bad. Go. Have fun. The market will be here tomorrow.
That's true. That's true. But yeah, I'm gonna go get some mini golf and some dinner and some good times, and yeah, we'll see you guys tomorrow morning. Have a great one, everyone. Everybody.
Thank you.
I'm
Thanks, Jeremy. Have a
tongue-tied
good
now.
one.
You too. We'll see you guys.